Ellie Jackson, say hi to Mike England.
Hey, Mike.
Mike doesn't have any headphones. We'll try and get some headphones for you. But you, Mike England, are the man of the hour, my friend. First of all, president of now St. Mary's Southside High School?
St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School.
Catholic High School. Man, what a couple of weeks for you. First of all, congratulations.
Thank you.
Second of all, you were here 6 weeks ago, 7 weeks ago, 2 months ago, saying we're going to figure out a way first to find enough money to survive for a year and then find enough money for a long term. Yesterday, you held a news conference saying you did it. What did you do and how'd you do it?
Well, I think back when I came on with you, I was still in that phase. We were still in that phase of not knowing where we were going and how we were going to do this.
Right.
And I think that at that time, hearing you say that kind of brings me back to maybe how far off we were with this. Money was always going to be a part of this, and that wasn't going to be it was something that I always thought that we could do. But we needed to have a plan that would allow both donors to feel confident in the future of the school and for our current families, future families, and teachers to feel confident in the future of the school.
Sure.
And that was tied to getting a lease agreement on the property and to getting a sponsorship agreement with a new entity, which we wanted to be all along the Marianists because we've always had a very close relationship with them.
Right.
So once we figured that out and figured that that was the direction that we needed to go, that gave us a path to work, and we worked that path kind of simultaneously with talking with some significant donors who were just wonderful, and 5 donors stepped up and pledged a total of $3.3 million to our $10 million effort. We did a 5-year financial plan that we presented to the Archdiocese, and I think that was very key for us being able to get a lease agreement with them. They could see that we had a financial plan that was viable to move forward with.
Right.
And so I think all of those were the pieces that allowed us to move forward, and I think all of us together, St. Mary's High School, the Archdiocese, and the Marianists, this was a road never traveled before by any of us.
Yeah.
And I think we just kind of all figured it out together. We figured it all. I had a deadline of sometime in December. And, thank you to the Archdiocese and the Marianists for helping us meet that deadline.
So I'm not exactly sure how all this works, and I'm Catholic. So explain to the non-Catholics and to me, you go from being an Archdiocese school to being a Marianist school, which is like Vianney and Chaminade.
Correct.
But what does that mean exactly? Is that just a different organization that's overlooking it? How does that work?
There is the number one, what I've learned, because I've been a lifelong Catholic too,
Okay,
and so I've had to learn a lot through this whole situation. The Archdiocese for St. Mary's High School was our canonical sponsor. And their number one job, and they've got a lot of other jobs with that, but their number one job is to make sure that the school remains Catholic. That's their job. And so to find another sponsor, their number one job is to make sure that St. Mary's remains Catholic. And so I've been calling it a transfer of authority. I'm not sure if that's the correct way, but it works in my mind. The transfer authority from the Archdiocese to the Marianists means that now the Marianists take over as our canonical sponsor, making sure that we are a Catholic entity. It will now mean that our board of directors, which when we were at the Archdiocese was an advisory board, our board of directors will now become a governing board with a fiduciary responsibility to the operation of the school. And that governing board has been established through our new 501c3, which is called the Southside Education Collaborative.
Now, do you become basically like Vianney and like Chaminade?
Right.
You're in that structure.
I was at CBC for a number of years, and it's the same situation that I was in over there.
Right, yeah, interesting. All while this is going on, you mentioned this, keeping the head straight of the students and the faculty and everybody else. Take me through that for a minute, because the kids are going to school, the football team's practicing, and you go on to win a state championship while the Archdiocese pulls the rug out from under the team and says you don't have school next year. That's Herculean. I mean, that's Hollywood movie stuff.
Well, I think that there was the internal communications and then the external noise. And I think our school community trusted in our internal communications. I worked very hard at keeping them updated on where we were. I told them at the beginning of this, if this isn't going to make it, I'm going to let you know. Right. I'm not going to put you in a situation where, kids need to find a new school and teachers need to find new jobs, at the last minute. That's not good for anybody. But there was progress. There was always progress. And so I was able to share that progress. And so internally, our faculty and staff who've been tremendous, our students and families who've been tremendous, kept a positive outlook and trusted in what we were saying to them. Now, they were hearing from the outside the complete opposite.
Right.
And their answer to that was, well, that doesn't really, affect us right now, especially I think our football team, our head football coach did a great job with that. That doesn't really affect us. We're just focused on what we have to do right now. And that's what everybody did. They kept working on, they kept going to school, they kept practicing, they kept doing the things that they needed to do, knowing that we were doing the work that we were doing and trusting that the outcome would be positive, which it ended up being.
There's a story in the Riverfront Times about exactly what you went through. And they talked to Yuri Collins' mother, who Yuri Collins is now a star for St. Louis University basketball. He's going to play in the NBA at some point, right? Knock on wood.
I believe so.
Went to St. Mary's. His two younger brothers are now going there.
Yep.
But it was talked about how she was nowhere and found St. Mary's and really turned the lives of this family around because of St. Mary's.
We're a special school. And what we offer to our young men, I think, first and foremost, is we know them and we love them, and we've got a family atmosphere there that really helps. And I thought that article in the Riverfront Times was phenomenal.
Sure.
And what I really appreciated Ms. Williams talking about was how quiet her sons are, and how coming to St. Mary's after a while, being in that environment, allowed them to open up and allowed them to become the young men that they're destined to become.
Right.
And I think that that's a wonderful aspect of the school that you're not going to find everywhere. These schools with, 600, 700, 800 kids in there, I'm sorry, you're not going to know everybody.
Right.
We know all of our young men. We know them. We know their stories. We meet them where they're at. We give them what they need, and they know that they're loved. And that's the significance of St. Mary's High School.
And they're accountable.
Very accountable.
Yeah.
I mean, it's not for everybody. You've got to follow the rules.
Yeah.
And they do know that if they don't do what they're supposed to do, they might lose this opportunity. It's a great opportunity. And we work with them as hard as we can work with them.
Yeah.
And for the most part, we're amazingly successful.
In the larger context of the world we live in, with so much noise and so much angst and anger, St. Mary's High School, the kids who go there are predominantly not Catholic and minority, Black, Latino. Speak for that for a moment, because there's such limited opportunities for Latinos and African Americans in the city to go to a school like this. Talk about how important that is.
Well, I firmly believe in the value of a quality Catholic education. And unfortunately, through the years, since back in the day when you and I were younger, as it's evolved, a quality Catholic education has become accessible only to the best and the brightest,
right,
and those that can afford it. And that's creating this big hole. And so when I got to St. Mary's and I saw what they were doing, and this is the work that St. Mary's has been doing for 91 years, providing a quality Catholic education to all young men, especially those that can't afford it. And if we can find more ways to do this for more families that cannot afford it, down the line, we're going to look back and we're going to see a tremendous uptick in the quality of life in those areas. And that's the reason that I said in the beginning, this school can't close, because it's too important for the young men that we serve and for the neighborhood that we're in. We can turn this neighborhood around if instead of disinvesting in it, we invest in it and we find ways to deal with the poverty, the lack of opportunity, and the lack of quality education that exists in these neighborhoods. Yeah. I mean, the Riverfront Times article talks about a 27-acre campus that looks like a college, and it does. It's a beautiful. We take great pride in that, and we want that oasis to extend out into the community. And that's the work that we're going to do, and we've got lots of things moving forward. We're going to make some announcements next month that I'm very, very excited about what's going to be going on at the new St. Mary's that's going to provide opportunity, not just for the young men that we serve, but for our neighbors.
Well, we'll have you back to talk about that. Last question for you, Mike England. Is it true that you have an uptick in applications for next school year at St. Mary's Southside Catholic School?
We are, for the last 4 years, we have the most applications at this moment right now than we've ever had over the last 4 years. We have 40 applications right now, which for a lot of people, they might say, well, that's not that many. For us, 40 is a whole lot right now in the process, on our way to a 75 or 80. And if we're at 40 right now, that normally results in an 85, 90, maybe even 100. So we're very excited about the possible enrollment.
Well, considering you were given a death sentence 6 weeks ago, you got 40 applications for a school that was going to be out of business next year.
Well, and again, I think that speaks to the internal communication and our people internally saying to their friends and families, don't listen to what everybody else is saying.
Right.
Here's what I know. Here's what they're telling me inside St. Mary's. And I trust them. I trust what's going on with them.
Yeah.
The one of the interviews yesterday that came out of the press conference was one of our mothers that came to the press conference of one of our freshmen. And we had parent meetings, and I remember her at the parent meeting, and she was very concerned and said to me, I sent my son here to go to an all-boys school. That's what I want him to go to. If you would change that, I would pull him out of the school. And I committed to her, and I said, moving forward, we're not changing anything. Right. We're going to remain a Catholic Marianist all-boys school. Because to change that, that's working really well right now. Why do we want to go ahead and change that?
Yeah.
And we looked at other models. We looked at other ways to do it because we had to.
Yeah.
We had to explore all of these things. Everybody's like, well, you need to go co-ed. You need to do this, you need to do that. No, we need to stay who we are. We need to figure out the math problem, which is how we're going to address the financial hole that the Archdiocese, not funding it anymore, is going to leave us, which we have.
Right.
And then figure out a new and better way that we can move forward. But being independent of the Archdiocese gives us a freedom that this school has never had that we could not be more excited about.
Don't bet against Mike England. That's what I learned in this little story. As well as, has Oprah called you? Spielberg called you for this TV Hollywood movie yet?
Gosh, you know what? I hope they do. And if they do, whatever they pay will go to the new Southside, to St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School.
I know Mike can't hear me, but can you pass along to him how I think it's what they are doing and how important it is to give those opportunity to young African American men to know that, yes, they are being heard, they're being cared for, and they're being educated.
Well said. Well said. stmaryshs.com to find out more. stmaryshs.com. Mike England.
One more, because I want to change that.
Yeah.
Okay? No. If you want to donate to the new entity, go to www.theworkisours.com.
I got to change the copy now.
Yes, you have to change that copy. www.theworkisours.com. You can invest in the new St. Mary's Southside Catholic High School.
Theworkisours.com. We'll see you in January. Happy holidays.
Happy holidays.